Hey everyone, in the previous video we created our base HTML file or our base template. Now let's create an index file. To do that, let's create an index.html template. So touch lists templates index.html, and then let's open that up. Because we know that our home page view should use that, let's set that index.html. Okay, and then so that you can probably see a bit better. Now I'm done with that. I can actually just now focus on using my index.html. Okay, so it's this one. So what I will do is, since this is an index file, I can call it something else. So I will say, obviously I need to extend it first. Extend base.html, and then I want my block, my title, let's put our end block here. I want my title to say task list. Okay, and then my content, I want to be to have a list or some way to view everything. So what I will do to show you a lot of stuff, let's use a table. I want to create a section for it first, and then I would have h1. I want this to say task list in database, just for the heck of it. And then let's create a table. So I have a table. I'll close this. I have a table. I want the head of it and the body. In my head, I want one row, dr, and then I will say task name and task status. Okay, in my body, I want to have as many rows as the number of instances I have as in my database. How do I do that? I would need an instance or a variable that points to where all my objects. So how do I do that? To do that, I have to go to my views.py. I have to modify my render to be able to insert variables. So let's say items, or let's call it tasks, and then there should be item.objects.all. Okay. However, I have not imported it yet, so let's import it. From .models import item. So now, in my template, I would have a task variable that would be accessible to me. which means here I would be able to do a for loop. A for loop that would say loop through everything. So let's do this again. For, but this is an end for. So this is a for task in tasks. What do? I want to have a table row. And each table row would have two cells, two columns. Okay, the first column would be task.text. The next one is task.tags, because our model has that, right? So by having this, we should already have a table working properly. Okay. Extends. That should say extends, not extend. That's the error there. There we go. Notice there's a problem. There are three. We know there are three. But we're saying task.tags was a problem. These are not variables, so they are not being evaluated. So let's add our mustache. And then let's refresh. There we go. Okay. Now, obviously, we want this to be more useful, right? So we want to be able to link to an individual page. Okay. To do that, we have to change up our models. Okay. We have to, so let's go to our models, and we have to, and let's open up our urls.py as well. Okay. I need to create a URL that will point to an individual instance. So let's call it task, but it will accept an ID. Okay. It will accept an ID as an argument, which means we will create a regular expression. So that regular expression would look something like this. Okay. So I would name whatever that is as ID. So Python knows that this is an ID, and then that ID is going to be a numeric key or a numeric string for as long as it needs to be. Okay. And then let's call it task detail. And then let's create. Okay, so that's all you need right now. You don't need, you can just use a home view. Let's use home view. Home view. Just for now, let's use home view. Okay. So that's not enough. We need to add something to our models. So in our models, we need to add what's called the getAbsoluteURL property. Okay. So how that works is that each item would now have an absolute URL, a URL that is linked to it. that can be referenced in our template. So def get absolute URL self. Let's put it after str. Okay. Return reverse task detail, and then it accepts keyword arguments. So that's what that ID is for. Okay, keyword arguments. So that takes in an object because that's why it's keywords. So it's a named dictionary ID. Then let's just make that a string self.id. Okay. So what this does is it says that our URL for this item is going to be task/id. Okay, that's what the reverse does. It looks up the URLs and looks for that name. And then the keyword argument ID is going to be equal to the ID or the primary key of this model. Okay, we use the reverse function, which means we have to import it. Django.urls import reverse. Okay, now we can modify this so that we have an anchor tag. Okay, so our text is going to be task.text. Our link is going to be, okay, so again, mustache syntax, task.get absolute URL. Remember, this is a callable function, a callable attribute because it is a function, so it will get that anchor tag. So how do we know it works? Let's go here, let's refresh. Now it's a link, and if we click here, notice our URL now goes to task 1, task 2, task 3. Okay, it opens a new tab because we set a target attribute as blank. Okay, so another way to show you how to access attributes aside from task.tags, okay, let's use so instead of using that tags property, we can try and use, let's say I want a list of tags instead of a comma separated list. Okay, I want to really have a list. Okay, so that means I have an ordered list. Inside that, again, is this syntax. I will insert a for. This is end for. This is for tag in task.tagset.all. So this is a property, tagset is a property, right? So that returns all related tags. And then li mustache syntax tag.tag name, and it would look something like that. Okay, so that is a quick index.html. In the next video, let's create the contents of that new URL that we created for task details.